Hey there. Welcome back to these Conversations with No One, where I attempt to share my experience of living in a state of non-identification with duality and my character. It's been getting harder and harder to have anything to share. And maybe it's worthwhile to share that itself. My last two substantial videos were about complicated and convoluted life stories and how I navigated them. And it was cathartic to write those out before making the videos, but it was so cathartic that actually making the videos ended up becoming somewhat of a burden, almost a responsibility. While my brain was still immersed in the stories, it was fun to recount them. But once they passed, they felt more like dreams, just unsubstantial and meaningless. Recently, I experienced a string of life events that was equally fascinating to me because they were a long sequence of things that seemed to be good luck or bad luck, one after the other. And so many in a row, in fact, that it became hilarious to me as my fortune swung dramatically from one direction to the next from moment to moment, while I simply observed them and kept moving forward. And this happened for several weeks, and at the end of this epic and convoluted story, I felt like it was a fun story to tell. About the non-attachment to whether something is good or bad, because you never know. And so I wrote it all out in detail so I could make another video. It was turned out to be so long that I would have needed to tell it in two parts or risk having a 45-minute video. And I wrote that a few weeks ago, but I find myself having zero interest in diving back into the state of being in my mind and placing importance on all those ridiculous details. It feels exhausting to think about it all as I'm once again enjoying the simple what is of daily life. And it might be that I just need a little more distance from it all before I feel like telling the story, or it might be that it's not a story that I need to tell at all. I suppose that it could be that I'll choose to tell it without all the excruciating and necessary details that made the experience more intense for me, but would probably mean little to anyone else. So I don't know, I guess we'll see. I may or may not make those in the near future. But another factor in all this is that my life has recently gained a momentum it hasn't had in quite a long time. And that momentum is making my moments full of entertaining experiences. I'm out in the world more, doing more things and interacting with more people, engaging in the world more than I have been for years. This feels like a new phase in my journey, like coming out of a long, peaceful hibernation to reintegrate with my external experience. I'm still experiencing the same state of non-identification and non-attachment, but I'm suddenly playing in the sandbox more. And yet, it could also be that was just because the summer brought all these things. The seasons are turning here, and this is one of the last nice days before the rains hit, much needed rains, but it'll soon get colder and more wet. I'm not sure how much of my current renaissance is simply down to weather, and may very well settle down as my environment becomes less inviting. But I also suspect that some of this has to do with the place I've chosen to stay for now. For some reason, it feels like the people in this town seem to see me more, appreciate me in ways I haven't experienced in quite a while. I seem to have stumbled on a place that values how my character expresses himself, and that's created an environment that's always a pleasure to interact with. It could, of course, also be that some sort of shift has led me to express myself in a way that other people find easier and more accessible now. I may have been holding myself back while I was hibernating and now express myself more authentically or more openly. All of this, whatever it is inspiring me to do more things, even possibly start doing music again. But I did feel this last year about this time and ended up doing nothing, so I guess we'll just have to see. And until then, until I have something more to say, I thank you for listening and sticking around in my silence. And until next time, take care.